I'm going to introduce our speaker is Mr. Matt Roberts. He's got a story about overcoming adversity. I'm going to let him delve into what he's going to talk about because he's going to do a much better job than me. So those people that do, I know we have many students signed up to go over to Bell for food and drinks. If you do want to go over after Mr. Roberts speaks, you're welcome to just gotta let us know so we can put you on the list and you can go over there. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Matt Roberts, our speaker.
How's everybody doing today? Everybody good? Excellent. Thank you, first and foremost, for the opportunity to be here with you today. My good friend Lily down the way there. Hi, good to see you. She met me in the hallway when I got here. Really what I want to do today is, I just want to tell you a little story about an event that happened in my life relatively recently. I'm talking like Monday will be 18 months, so a year and a half since it's happened to me. First thing I want to start off by saying is, though, is that this place is my home. Martinsville, Morgan County. I've been born and raised here. This community is my home. It means a lot to me. It's where I'm building a home. It's where I'm raising a family. So know that my connections to this town go a lot farther than just me being here in your school today. I grew up playing ball on these basketball courts. I grew up coming to basketball camps here a long time ago. I grew up playing baseball, Little League baseball, over by the old sawmill. This is home to me, so it's pretty personal. But again, what I want to do is I want to share a story from my life. And then simply, I'd just like to talk to you about it. Maybe share a few things. Overall, my goal is maybe to provoke some thought in y'all's minds about some things in our lives. So, I'm going to start off by telling you that my family and I, we own property out in, it's still Martinsville, but it's out on Little Hurricane Road. We've been trying to build a house now for several years. My story's going to start back on March 24th of 2022. So, Home Bank is doing the financing for our house. Draper, the Amish company out of Southern Indiana, is building our home. We've gotten the paperwork scheduled and squared away with the bank and with the builder. The evening of the 24th, I was supposed to sign paperwork to make that house finalized. Now I need to let you know, I work for Curtis Garage and Record. We're a towing company, and we're based out of Little Point, Indiana. Does anybody know where Little Point's at? Anybody? I got a couple. Most of the time, nobody knows where Little Point's at. We are literally just north of Eminence. Don't worry. Yes, I work in eel country, but I'm an artesian until the day I die. So, but we're on 70 up there just north of Eminence. I run regulars, so I don't get a 9 to 5. Like you come to school, you know when you're going to get there, you know when you're going to leave. That doesn't happen to me. A lot of times my life is 24/7. The 24th of March last year, 2022, was just that way. I worked all day long. I got home, immediately got called right back out to the interstate for a wreck. I made it home about midnight that night. Was home from midnight to 1 o'clock in the morning. Got called back out. I was gone until 6:30 in the morning. Got home, was able to shower, eat my Wheaties, change my clothes, and go right back to work. The problem was that night that I was supposed to be home, I was supposed to sign that paperwork to build that house. It didn't happen. Every morning, I stand in the driveway with my daughters and my wife. My daughters go to school at Mooresville Christian, and my wife works there. We talk about what we got going on for the day. I tell them I love you. Whatever you do, work hard, and we go about our day. My wife said, remember, we got to sign that paperwork tonight. Now, mind you, it's March 25th, 2022, now that we're standing there talking. We got to sign this paperwork to build this house, right? So, little did we know as we're having this conversation, about 3 hours later, our lives are going to look completely different. My daily tasks at Curtis Garage and Record is I run the semi. I haul all the heavy equipment. All the trucks that you see the wide load signs hanging off of and huge equipment bigger than trailers, that's what I do every day. And then I run a wrecker on the side. I was supposed to be the last driver back to the shop that morning after running and hauling some equipment at the stone quarry. But as the Lord saw fit, I was the first driver back. And I got back about 10 o'clock. At 10:15, my dispatcher calls me and says, hey, I got a run for you. I've got a gentleman with a little girl stuck on the side of I-70 between Monrovia and Plainfield. They've blown a tire, the car doesn't run. We need you to go pick him up and take him somewhere. Not a big deal, I'm a professional at what I do. I've done it thousands of times. I grab my bag, I grab my truck, I roll out to the interstate. Mind you, I-70 is a very dangerous place to be. If you're not running 80 miles an hour out there, you're getting run over. So I pull off the side of the road, make sure there's no traffic coming. I'm sure you've seen tow trucks around town here where they pull up, they lower the bed of their truck, they drag the other car on top of it, right? Everybody seen that? So that's what I did. I got out of my truck, I lowered the bed, I went and I greeted the gentleman and his daughter, said, hey, for safety reasons, why don't you get up into my truck? You'll be safe. I'll load your vehicle, then we'll head on down the road. So they get in, I load up, I get back in my truck. As I pull out on the interstate, I told the gentleman, I said, hey, I'm going to pull into the rest area. Again, before you get to Plainfield and 70, there's that rest area on the right-hand side. I said, I'm going to pull in here, use the restroom real quick, and then I'll figure out where you want to go, and I'm going to put your GPS coordinates in my phone. He says, no, I know where you're going to take me. Okay, that's all well and good, sir, but I don't know where I'm going to take you. You might know, but I don't. And he kind of looks at the dashboard and makes a weird noise. It's almost immediately God said, Matt, there's something wrong here. And he put this uneasiness in the pit of my stomach. I said, sir, I just need to know where I'm going to go. And he said, you're going to take me to this bus stop with no funny business. Sounds kind of odd, doesn't it? That's not just something you would say if you just want to ride somewhere, right? Yeah? You can nod your head, it's okay. Yeah, it kind of sounds weird. Matt, something's not right here. I said, sir, there is no funny business. I just need to know where I'm going to take you. And I need to run in here and use the restroom. It was at that moment that he pulled a Beretta pistol out of the waistband of his pants. And with his 4-year-old daughter sitting on his lap, he said, if you don't get me to this bus stop, I'm going to kill you where you sit. I pulled my truck over to the side of the road. And it kind of shocked me. He is, let's say, what's your name, sir? Mr. Schuler. So this gentleman is sitting this close to me in the cab of my truck with a 4-year-old girl sitting on his lap. He is this close to me. As I pull the truck to the side of the road, anybody here know what the fight or flight syndrome is? Anybody? Everybody got to get high people up on the nosebleeds. Good to see you today. Fight or flight, right? Well, guess what? If you looked at me and had to guess what I was going to pick, I don't look real fast, do I? Not like I'm going to be able to run very well. So I had to make the decision immediately that I was going to turn to this gentleman and try to fight him, try to get the gun from him, try to stop him in any way that I could because he was serious. One little problem. That 4-year-old girl that's sitting in his lap, she's between the gun and me. If he has to pull that pistol and she gets shot in the process, I could have never lived with myself. Oh, by the way, here's a little backstory about that little girl. The gentleman, Joseph Jackson, is from Missouri. That was his 4-year-old daughter who was from Illinois. He was only supposed to have supervised visitation, and that morning he decided to take her from her mother and was running east with her. There was an Amber Alert out for that little girl in Illinois, and we didn't know it. I just happened to be, by God's design, the first person to intercept him as this was going on. He pulls the gun and says, I'm going to kill you where you sit. I turn to fight him, and because that little girl, I can't, so I immediately have to make up my mind to do the complete opposite. I know I look fast, but I'm not. That's a joke, you can laugh. Yeah, I think. So, I make the decision that I've got to run. Remember where we're sitting, we're on the side of I-70. I-70 is a very busy, dangerous interstate. So for me to bail out of that truck, part of the time is a death wish because there's traffic coming all the time. As I make the decision to bail out of the truck, Joseph Jackson opens fire with that 4-year-old girl sitting on his lap. As I roll out of the truck, I threw my left arm behind me. He shot me through the elbow, and it come out my forearm. You can kind of see the hole in my arm. The second shot that he fired hit me high on the left side in the back, and it come out of my chest, just to the left of my heart. Missed it by an inch. I fell out of the truck into oncoming traffic, what should have been oncoming traffic, because by the grace of God there was none. I have never seen the interstate that dead before. So as I fall out of the truck onto the highway, I get back up and take off to run to the back of the truck. Joseph Jackson has slid himself across to the driver's seat and is now firing out of the driver's door at me. The first shot that he takes hits me in the left pelvis, shatters my pelvis, partially severs the sciatic nerve bundle that comes out of your spine, and my left leg went dead. It's still completely numb to today, and several of the muscles don't work. So I fell to the asphalt. So now Big Boy here is feverishly trying to crawl to the back of that wrecker. He shoots again, hitting me low on the right side, chipping my spine, hitting my kidney, and that bullet ends up in my abdomen. Later on in surgery, they had to split me open, take out a bunch of intestines, patch a bunch of holes, and pull that bullet out. He fires 2 more times that miss and hit the asphalt right in front of my face. The 7th time that he fires, enters my back, high right, deflates my right lung and shatters my ribs as the bullet tries to exit out the front. It was about that time I got to the back of the wrecker and was able to roll under the back just to get away from him. By the grace of God, he quit shooting after that. He didn't jump out and try to chase me. So as I'm under the back of that wrecker, full of bullet holes, I reached down into my pocket and I found something I didn't expect to find. It's no big deal to most of us because we got them on us all the time. My cell phone was in my front pocket. The only part of March 25th, 2022 that I can't tell you about is how my phone ended up there. Young people, you see, I'm a creature of habit. I do the same thing every time, every day, from the way that I put my socks and my boots on, to whether I put my pants or my shirt on first. I do everything the same every time. Same goes for when I get in a record. When I get in the record, Indiana by law is a hands-free driving state. I put my phone in the cup holder, I put my Bluetooth headset next to the phone, so that if somebody calls me, I can answer the phone if I want to, or I can ignore the call if I need to, until I get to a safer place. Well, I'm here to tell you, I found out 2 weeks later, my headset was still in the cup holder of that truck, right where I know my phone was also. I don't know how my phone got in my front pocket. Why is that a big deal though? Even though I was at the rest area on I-70, on the side of a busy interstate, there were no witnesses. There were none. Had I not made the 911 call, no one would have, and I'd have laid there bled out in the ditch where I sat. I had the opportunity several weeks after it happened to go have lunch with the gentleman that took my 911 call from the Henry County EMS dispatch. And he said, you know, Matt, when we get calls in from people that have been shot, and especially shot multiple times, he said we typically set a timer. After about 8 minutes, we expect the victim to quit responding on the other end of the phone. Jake Smith is a Plainfield police officer. He's the first one that got to me. That was 12 minutes after I made that call. 12 minutes I laid there in a ditch by myself. Waiting. When Officer Smith got to me, he's trained in how to handle situations like this. But he pulls his EMS bag out of the back of the squad car. First thing he does is he cuts my sweatshirt, my shirt off of me. I felt extremely sorry for anybody on the road that had to see that day. So he gets my sweatshirt, my shirt cut off of me, rolls me over onto my stomach, and he starts packing bullet holes full of this quick clot. It's gauze that's coated with stuff to make your blood clot. It's a lot of surface area to cover, folks. I'm just here to tell you. A whole bunch. So he's packing these holes full of this quick clot, and he runs out. Problem is he's rolled me now over onto my back, and he realizes that I am bleeding profusely from a wound right here in my chest, the one that just missed my heart. People thought I was joking when I first told him that the officer got there and plugged the hole with his finger. But I was being dead serious. Because he ran out of quick clot, all Officer Smith could do was take his finger and shove it 4 or 5 inches into my chest to apply pressure inside my chest cavity to keep me from bleeding out. Other than God, I owe my life to that officer. His quick thinking is the reason I didn't bleed out. Once they got me loaded into the ambulance finally, through science class we learned about arteries and veins, right? I'd lost so much blood that my veins had collapsed. They ended up having to give me 3 or 3.5 units of blood to keep me alive. I spent 4 or 5 days in the ICU, and miraculously, by the grace of God, 17 days later, I walked out of that hospital. Young people, listen to me. I know today that I should be dead on the side of the road. And why I'm not, I don't know. I know who saved my life, and I know who's the reason for my life being saved. And y'all are probably sitting here right now asking yourself, great story. What does this have to do with us? Anybody wondering that? Why am I telling you that? Why am I telling you this? Well, young people, here's what I want to talk to you about today. There's something in each and every one of our lives that levels the playing field, whether you're athletic, not athletic, whether you're brilliantly smart, or whether you need a tutor, whether you're short or tall. There's something in our lives that levels the playing field for all of us. And what that is our ability to make decisions. Our ability to make choices in our lives levels the playing field for all of us. Well, what do I mean? Mr. Roberts, what do you mean? Well, young people, what I mean is this. Every day that we get older, we get the opportunity to make decisions. Right now, we make decisions based on, what do we want to wear today, what are we going to eat for breakfast, how am I going to comb my hair. Some of it's how or if I'm going to comb my hair. As we get older, we talk to the faculty and the staff here. Those decisions get bigger and bigger, and more responsibility and more responsibility. Who am I going to choose for a spouse? What am I going to drive for a vehicle? What house am I going to live in? These are decisions that we get to make every day. And decisions get harder and harder. But let me tell you something, young people. The decisions that you make today in your life determine the kind of decisions that you're going to make later on in your life. And here's what I want to let you know. The decisions that you make and the choices that you make, newsflash, they don't just affect you. The decisions that you make, the things you choose to do or not do, directly affects everyone around you, whether you think it does or not. It affects a community, it affects the school, it affects people you don't even know. Well, what kind of decisions do I make that's going to affect everybody around me? Great question. I'll answer that. When I loaded that vehicle on the back of my rollback the morning March 25th, 2022, there was a heavy presence of drugs in that vehicle along with alcohol. See, young people, when you make a decision, whether it's for the good or for the bad, each time you make a decision, it gets easier and easier to make the next decision, to make the harder decision. Yeah, it's just a cigarette. Yeah, it's just a beer. It's just marijuana. Every time you make that decision, young people, it becomes easier and easier to do the next thing in the wrong direction. So Joseph Jackson decided one day that drugs is no big deal, alcohol is no big deal. He started making decisions in his life that not only affected him, it affected his daughter, it affected the lives of those officers that day. It greatly affected my life and the life of my family. He made decision after decision. I'll tell you what, he was so paranoid in that truck that day. He thought the only way he had to get out of what was going on was to take the life of the man that he thought knew what he was doing. I had no idea. Just a record driver had to use the restroom and take a guy to the bus stop. But he was so paranoid he couldn't stand it. And he thought his only way to get away with what he was doing was to take my life. And I'll tell you this, you make one bad decision, I guarantee you in your life you're going to make two bad decisions. Why do I know that? After all this took place, Joseph Jackson actually bonded out of jail in Danville on June 10th of last year. Made bail, was allowed to cross state lines and go back home. He just had to show back up for trial. Well, guess what? We made another bad decision and he didn't show back up to trial. He went on the run. A fugitive from the law with warrants out for his arrest because we made another bad decision. But again, every time you make a bad decision, it gets easier to make the next one. Well, guess what? A buddy of mine from the Hendricks County Police Department gave me a call and said 6 months ago, he called me and said, hey, just to let you know, they found Joseph Jackson. He was still out in Missouri, but he got picked up on DUI and extradited back here to Hendricks County. So he's now back in jail where he should have been the whole time. Bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. And I'll tell you what, I told you I'm a record driver. Let me tell you what my greatest fear is. My greatest fear is pulling up on a wreck or an accident and someone that I know or love being in the vehicle that I have to deal with. Because every day that I go to work, I deal with people who make bad decisions based on drugs and alcohol and other things. They get in a vehicle and they drive. Sometimes it kills them, sometimes. Most of the time it doesn't. You know who it affects? It affects that family in the minivan coming over the hill, heading to church or to soccer practice or to a school function. They're the ones that end up dying. They're the ones that we end up having to clean off of the roads because someone else made a bad decision that they didn't think would affect their life. Or they didn't think would affect anybody else's life but theirs. I deal with that day in and day out. And it's saddening to see it continue to happen. Young people, the decisions we make today aren't just going to affect us today. They're not just going to affect us, they're going to affect other people. And they're going to affect them longer than today. They will affect your life down the road. What other decisions do we make other than drugs and alcohol that can affect other people? Anybody know where I'm going with this? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Bullying. I want to talk to two groups of you today because that's who they are. That's who they are. Those two groups. Bullies, if you're in here, I don't know who you are. I don't need to know who you are. You know who you are and everyone else knows who you are. What is it that we gain by being ugly to other people? What is it that, is it simply because we feel like it makes us cooler, more awesome? Do we get a rush out of bullying other people? Let me tell you something. If you're bullying people just to bully people, there's nothing I can do for you. You're going to be that way. I hope that you listen to me. If you're bullying because you've gone through something, it's a bad excuse. If you're lashing out at other students, at faculty, at your parents, at your friends, because you feel like somebody's wronged you, that's not what you need to do, because let me tell you something. There will come a time in your life where you want somebody to be around you. You're going to need a hand to hold, a shoulder to lean on. I don't care how tough you think you are, guys, I'm talking to you. There's going to come a time in everybody's life where you want somebody there. Let me tell you something. If you were that bully, they're all going to walk away from you. I promise you that. Talk to the other group up here real quick. Those that have been bullied, let me tell you something about me. Anybody know the game Kirby? Video game Kirby? Anybody? Yeah, you know the little guy, short, round, arms? That was me in school. I was as tall as I was wide. My friends called me Kirby. I got bullied. Can I share something with you though? Not a thing they say to you matters a hell of beans. Each and every one of you in this room today, and this goes from me to the students to the faculty, unless you're an identical twin, we are all created differently for a reason. And our differences are what makes us beautiful. And our differences are what makes us part of a community that works. Because how boring is it? Y'all ever meet that group of people that they look the same, they talk the same, they act the same? It must be a boring conversation, right? Every one of us here are part of a community. And I don't care if you're black, white, green, purple, pink, it doesn't matter to me. We are all part of a family unit, a community that needs each other. I told you decisions that we make don't just affect us, right? My daughters and my wife were at school that day. My wife got a phone call from our shop manager said, "Hey Linda, this is Deacon. I don't know how to tell you this, but Matt's been shot. I don't know if he's alive or dead. You need to get this guy to the hospital." My family got that phone call because of the decision someone else made. I don't know personally what you're going through today. If you've not listened to anything in the 25, 30 minutes that I've been standing here, please listen to this. I don't know what you're going through today. I don't know what your family life looks like. I don't know what your housing situation looks like. I don't know what your financial situation. I don't know. And I probably won't know unless you come up to me and tell me. But whatever hardship you have faced, whatever tragedy you've been through, young people today, I want you to know that there is only one way past that trial, that hardship, that tragedy. One word, and I need you to listen to me. That's forgiveness. You can carry so much anger and heartache bottled up inside of you for so long, and trust me when I tell you this, because I did when I was younger. I carried every bit of it around with me, and all I wanted to do was hurt myself and hurt somebody else. And you know the weird thing is I took it out on the people that cared about me and that loved me, and it wasn't even about them. I took it out on the people that cared because they were the ones that were there. I took it out on my friends. I took it out on my family, my parents. I took it out on my teachers. They were the ones trying to help me. I didn't take it out on the one that was doing the bullying. How much sense does that make? It didn't make any, right? Whatever you're going through today, young people, the only way through it is forgiveness. Because if you carry that with you, it's just going to eat you up inside. It's not going to affect anybody else but you. When my wife and my daughters got that call at the school that day, they had every reason to hold a grudge and to get mad. They had every reason because the main provider of finances is now shot full of bullet holes and may not live. We got to leave school. We can't build a house. We can't do. It affected every area of their lives. And guess what? They come to the same conclusion I did. That the only way past it was by forgiving the man that did this. Young people, if you don't hear anything else today, understand that. Don't carry it with you. If you need to talk to somebody, go talk to somebody. Remember, the decisions that we make affect everybody around us. Hate and kindness is spread the same way. Let me challenge you today. Let me challenge you next week. Find somebody in the school that you don't know, and for no reason at all, walk up and tell them, I love your red hair. I have no idea who you are, but I love it. I saw a young lady here earlier with a pair of black boots. I love it. Walk up to somebody and tell them something kind. 7th and 8th graders, let me tell you something. There's a whole bunch of kids in this community, 6th grade and down, that are looking to you to be leaders. Y'all understand that? I like your red hair too. And yours. Young people, be that leader. Please think before you speak. Think before you act. Don't think about what you're getting ready to do. How's it going to affect me? Think about how what you're getting ready to do is going to affect everybody else. And I promise you, you won't regret it. Thank you for your time today. I appreciate you listening.